All right, well, I'm going to give you a pattern to spray glue on the piece of wood, and you're going to start cutting out the ribbons. That's going to be the first step. All right, well, to cut out the inside holes of the ribbons, you got to use the scroll saw, and you can see me here disassembling the scroll saw because you got to poke the blade through a little hole. There it is where my finger is. You got to poke it through there, so you have to actually drill the hole first, poke the blade through, and then tighten up the blade assembly again with the screwdriver. You're always pushing really tight. And then if I'm going to tighten it, I'm turning it clockwise to the right. Make sure you got the pressure gauge down so it's not bouncing on the table. But I'm going to actually give you a little practice piece before I give you the good piece. So that's what I'm pointing there, the little pressure gauge. And then you just go around and you do the best job you can, the neatest job you can. It's a really thin blade, so you got to move quite slowly. And this will definitely get better with a bit of practice. And that's how you do the ribbons. Every step is the same. Okay, so I've done the inside of the ribbons. And now it's the most logical to do the outside of the ribbon because I've got lots of wood to hang on to. It's nice and stable on the bandsaw table. So I've got a push stick and I've got a pencil, so my fingers aren't close to the blade. I've got lots of curvy cuts to do here, so you want to make sure you're doing relief cuts. Relief cuts are cuts that cut straight in and then you're backing straight out. You can't back out of a curved cut. So with relief cuts we'll do here allow you to cut those sharp corners without bending the blade and risking breaking the blade. So you're just chipping away, you're hogging wood away, and you're being really careful and you're taking your time just to do all those corners. As you can see right there, I've held it up. See what I'm doing? And you can do long relief cuts or short relief cuts. The shorter the better. And just take your time on this and don't cut the ribbons too skinny. You'll get it with a little bit of practice. Okay, this cut is kind of tricky. So I've got a long piece of wood here that I can hang on to because on the scroll saw it tends to jump around. So you got to make sure you got that guard pressed up against the wood to limit the wood from jumping. You've got 4 pieces here you got to cut, and it's a little curvy, so you got a lot of pieces to hang on to. That's what I'm trying to show there. And there's the guard that you want to make sure you press down. So you just taking your time, and these don't have to be perfect because they're supposed to kind of look like paper, so they don't have to be the same. If you make a mistake, it's no big deal. We sand it, smooth, it's all good. But so you've got 4 pieces you have to cut, and they're going to go around the little bows on the top. Just take your time. Try not to cut in too deep because there's 4 parallel pieces. Try not to cut in too deep to each one. You'll be fine. So I've cut 3 out of those 4 little ribbon pieces, and I just want to show you how it was cut there. And I've got a long piece to hang on to. When you're cutting really short, small pieces like this on the scroll saw, it really jumps around. So it really helps to have a long piece to hang on to. So that's why you do it that way. Here I'm just showing that you can clean up the pieces if they're a little square on the bandsaw. And we got Eric in the background for bonus. Here I'm on the bandsaw and I'm cutting those long ribbon pieces, and you can see the space between the bandsaw and the blades really skinny because I want some skinny pieces. And so you got to make sure you got a push stick there, and you're pushing against the fence, and it's got a tendency to walk away from the fence. So with my left hand, after it's through, I'm gonna hold it on the other side of the fence. As you can see, my fingers aren't near the blade, so I'm super safe. And you're just holding it down and not allowing it to walk away. And you can do a bunch of those that are that thin. Pretty easy cuts. So I've got all the pieces laid out here, and all I need to do is sand them. You can sand them on the disc sander. Make sure your fingers are back and you're on the proper side and you got the dust extraction on. And you can also sand them with the Dremel. I've got a little grinding bit here, but we can put a sander bit on as well. You still got to wear safety glasses because the dust will fling up into your eye. You just want to, what I'm doing there is just chamfering the corners and taking the blade marks off. And between the Dremel and the disc sander, you can also just grab a piece of hand sandpaper. I'm just sanding away there. And that's a nice way to do it. Super peaceful. You can socialize with your friend while you're doing that. Any burn marks. That's a nice rough piece of sandpaper. So lower the better. Like that's about 80 grit, or maybe even be 60 grit. And I'm just giving that just a little beautify. And next, I'm going to take the little palm sander. Palm sander is really safe. I mean, pretty hard to hurt yourself with this. Just hold nice and tight, and you're just pressing it up against and smoothing it out. This is actually a pretty efficient way to round the corners and take all those marks off. After you're all sanded and you're ready, it's time to glue all the pieces on. You can lay it out and cut them and just glue them on as you go. Don't put too much glue on. You don't want to squeeze out. Keep it nice and tidy. And there we've got a piece, so I'm just measuring where I'm going to cut it next. That's it. So now I'm going to paint on some of this base paint so I can use the flocking device, and you put some felt in there and it puts a nice felt onto that sticky paint. There's a couple things here. So it's pretty stinky, so ventilation. It's not good for your hands, so you got gloves. My brush is a little bit big there, but just be quite liberal with this green paint, and make sure you tape around the side of the box, because if it leaks down the side of your box, it's not going to be pretty. It's going to be hard to get off. Even sanding it off is difficult. So now here I am. I put some felt in this little device, this little flocker, and I'm just flocking it. And it just creates a nice little touch for the box, and it covers up some glue and stuff like that. Also, when you are, it doesn't show me here, but after I'm done, this powder can be put back into this flocking device, because there's a lot of waste. A lot of it's going to stick, but a lot of it's not. So make sure you fold up a piece of paper, create a little trough, and put it back in the bag or this flocker. Okay, so you want to do this on the inside of the box and on the underside of the lid, and it's going to be a nice little touch for this project. Here's a couple shots of the box, open lid, and it's a beauty. You put your special things in there and you give that to someone you love. And that's the Bow Box.